Hello, welcome to my video today about this full moon in Scorpio, which is happening right now. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see the chart of this full moon. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. And there you go, this is the chart. So the full moon is at 11:21, as you can see, of Scorpio. So this is where the moon is. And as usual, when there is a full moon, the moon is opposite the sun, which is now in Taurus at 11:21. Also, okay. So, yeah, first of all, what can we say about this full moon? So, this full moon is ruled by Pluto, which is the modern ruler of Scorpio. And this is the most important fact about this full moon, which is this aspect is the most important because the planet that rules this full moon, Pluto, is actually squaring both the moon and the sun, as you can see. So, and then the modern ruler, the ancient ruler of Scorpio is Mars, and Mars is also is in Aries, is still in Aries, right? So we can say that this is a full moon that's got a lot of martial energy. Right? Because Pluto is highlighted, and also there's a lot of Aries energy still because we still have a stellium in Aries at this moment in time. And Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is the ruler of this full moon. So there's a lot of, how should I say, there's a lot of like flood of whatever repressed anger or repressed flood of deep feelings. Now it's all coming up to the surface. So Mars is here, and you see it's part of this big stellium. Also, right. So most importantly, because this full moon is in Scorpio, so first of all, we have to look at the moon in Scorpio and what does that tells us. So yeah, I mean, overall, before I start to break down this full moon, we can say that into a nutshell, we can all feel it now because it's right now this full moon, so I feel it too. Now, if we were to look at the transit of this moment in time, never mind my drawings. Okay, so now I have to remove these drawings because I'm not seeing clearly. This is now, you see now, right now as I speak, the moon is at 7. So yeah, it's the full moon now and it's climaxing very soon. So we are feeling this energy. I am feeling in myself. And so what am I feeling? We can say that basically, even though if something has not been verbalized, there is something that we can feel, some truth, something that either we have seen proof or we are sensing, that something shady or maybe something that was hidden, something that we hide it from ourselves, something that someone else hide to ourselves. Now we are, because with the Scorpio energy, isn't it? We sometimes we just know instinctively. So either we are seeing the proof of it, or we know it in our gut. We like, I know this person is, trying to manipulate. I know this person is lying, or I know this person, well, this situation is shady. So that's why now we were sitting with some kind of doubt, you know. So let's go back to this film. And now we know that we were right, whatever we were suspecting to be true. Now we see that actually it is true. And the moon is here. So I'm just going to quickly do it opposite the sun. And the main thing to talk about is that Pluto is opposite, square both the moon and the sun. Okay, and also there is Juno here with Juno, which is conjunct with Pluto at this full moon. Okay, so yeah, the full moon is here in Scorpio. So what can we say with the full moon in Scorpio? So like I said, this means that there is a huge completion. Now we are feeling like a climax and release of what used to be good for us, but isn't good for us anymore. In Scorpio now we can even say that what was good has become toxic and it is holding us back. So now we are in some crossroad. A serious decision has to be made, you know, because we are seeing it that thing that doesn't work for us is bubbling up to the surface, and now it's showing its ugly head, as they say. And yeah, there is an infection that has to be dealt with, you know, and then because it's Scorpio, it has to do with some resources we share with someone else, financial matters, trust issues, deep emotional ties. Okay, so all these deep feelings that are uncomfortable. This is what we are talking about now. The moon is our heart and how we feel. So this is why this full moon is not feeling very good, to be honest with you, because it's not always rainbows and unicorns. I mean, there is nothing much too nice, because the moon in Scorpio is what we say she's at fault. So really that she doesn't do well in Scorpio because she's exalted on the opposite side in Taurus. That's where she's the most powerful. Now can you imagine she's the whole way across the moon? Yeah, and the moon is nurturing, is sweet. You know, it's about feeling comfortable, you know, having good feelings. And now she's ruled by Mars, the planet of aggression, and that cuts, you know, and the moon is sensitive. So yeah, so this full moon is difficult. So not only is ruled by Mars, and on top of that is squared by Pluto, who is even stronger Mars energy. So yeah, and there's still that strong Aries energy stellium as well that's playing out. Okay, so yeah, so this is not a feel good full moon, basically. This is us clearly seeing what in our life needs to be fixed from the root, from the core, where things look nice on the surface but are rotten when we look deeper. Transformative, intuitive, and secretive, because it won't reveal its cards until the right moment. Okay, so we have to bear in mind what Scorpio is like so we understand how this full moon is going to play out for you in your life. And so we can understand what we are actually feeling now and why we are feeling these feelings. Scorpio observes, digs deep to get to the root of things, and then uncovers the truth. So now it's a good time if you have a hunch feeling, and that usually you're not this type of person who is intuitive. So you're not used to this kind of trusting your intuition. Now trust your gut feeling because you are right, whatever you are feeling. You have no proof for it, but you're like, you just know it. Then you just know it. It is what it is. And it's what you are feeling, what you are seeing, what you are sensing. Highly likely it's not something very nice. You know, it's something you would rather not be seeing, you know, or believing, but it is true. Because we can say Scorpio is a bit like the cold hard truth, right? So before making the final decisions or revealing its intention, this full moon is looking at emotional and financial security, issues around trust, feeling insecure and jealous, or resentful. So all these lovely feelings now are coming up to the surface for all of us in some areas of our lives. Because Scorpio is about getting rid of the garbage. The garbage, physical garbage, like a house cleaning. But most likely now we are talking of the garbage, in our psyche, in our emotional life. With Scorpio energy, there is a need to release resentments and grudges that poison us. So with this energy, watch out that you're not going to shoot your own foot. Like this expression says, because Scorpio, at worst, unfortunately, they can be the type, that they will just damage themselves so that they can damage you at the same time. So we don't want to fall low, in this bad vibration of revenge and getting even, retaliation. So we know that nothing lasts forever in life, and these difficult feelings will pass, because now we can be feeling feelings of anger, jealousy, mistrust, like hating and manipulation, like manipulating others. If we manipulate others, it will only poison us from the inside out. So it's never a good idea to manipulate other people, so, or to get even. There is a divine law of justice in the universe. Sooner or later, whatever you call God, isn't it? Justice will be done. So with this energy, it's not a good idea, because with the Scorpionic energy, if we retaliate, if we revenge or do all this shady stuff like manipulation and black magic, it always comes back to us to bite us, so it's never a good energy. It doesn't matter if we think that we are getting away with something for today, for 1 month, for 1 year, for a decade, for one life, it will come back later on. So yeah, it's not recommended to do that. It's recommended to do some inner work with Scorpio. The higher way of using the Scorpionic energy is to transmute yourself from the inside, to transform yourself, to empower yourself from the inside, to work on your inner world, to develop your occult abilities, to work on inner self-control, deep breathing techniques, and stuff like that. That's how the powerful Scorpio can best express itself. Because it's a difficult energy to handle. Only a few very Scorpionic people manage to be the eagle and not the snake. So this moon is in Scorpio and the sun is in Taurus, because we know at the full moon, I think I said already, that there is always this opposition. This is why this is a full moon, when the moon is coming back around opposite the sun. So now this moon and sun, it's in the Scorpio Taurus axis, the two signs that opposite each other. They have something in common. That's why they are a polarity of opposites. Like we say, opposite attracts. And they are both fixed signs. And fixed signs, they can resist evolution, and they can get into stubborn power battles because they fear letting go, of their possessions. Also, they can be controlling when they feel insecure. Loyalty is important to fixed signs, even more to Scorpio. Because if you guys know any Scorpio, trust me, I had two of my best friends, most best friends I ever have actually in my life. Two Scorpios. So I'm telling you, so Scorpios, if you cross Scorpio, doesn't matter. One small betrayal to Scorpio, it's over. It doesn't matter if you were friends for 20 years. Don't betray Scorpio because they won't look back. They will just cut you off. So loyalty is important to them and they will do what they say they are going to do. They are reliable and persistent. So that's why we say they all or nothing. If they are your friend, they will do anything they can for you. But if suddenly they switch and they are against you, then beware. Especially if you betray Scorpio, don't do it. So, but yeah, they are good to have around as friends because you can count on actually you can count on all fixed signs. You can count on Taurus, on Scorpio, they will last the distance. And about Taurus, with the sun in Taurus, we can say that Taurus is about what you own. It's about the physical stuff. What you own that is yours, that you possess. Taurus is about being well grounded into the earth. They like nature. They like simple pleasures of life. And Taurus is about the physical body, being grounded in your own body. Because Taurus rules the second house. And this second house is about our survival instinct of what we need to survive and to feel secure in the world. So Scorpio, on the other hand, is what you owe to others, what you share with others. Scorpio is also to do with psychology. Scorpio is a complex energy to understand. And the Scorpio-Taurus polarity is about controlling emotions and finances. Taurus is material and physical security. And Scorpio needs emotional security and investment to intimately merge with another. So this energy is also about seeking power over others, power struggles, betrayals, and being controlling because of a fear of loss. Yeah, and then with Scorpios are magnetic. However, it's hard to read their feelings and to know what they really think because Scorpios are like an iceberg. You know, when you only see the tip of the iceberg, where on the surface it looks calm, but underneath there is a huge emotional baggage, intense feelings and resentments. So Scorpio can have all these kind of uncomfortable feelings, but they won't show it to you. Right. And at its worst, like I said before, we don't want to fall into the shadow of Scorpio because the most unevolved Scorpio energy represents sexual taboos and the most evil people and events in the world, like sex trafficking and breaking someone's trust in order to survive. Yeah, so that's the scorpionic energy, you know, when some people will do anything, as we say, anything to get to the top. You know, they could, yeah, however, on a better note, this is not a good time, like I said, to uncover something because Scorpio is good at deep research. You know, if you know any scorpionic people, if they go and look for some information, they would just dig deep, very deep. You know, they will just have folders and folders of proof and fact and information. They will get intensely focused on what they're looking for. So it's good to, yeah, now it's a good time for going deep to look for an information or to uncover a secret, to uncover and discover. Now it can actually be revealed, like I said, for better or worse. What's good is that now at this full moon, the truth cannot be denied or pushed under the surface anymore. Accepting the truth is a matter of life or death at this moment in time, because it's all coming up to the surface. We are feeling all these intense, deep feelings that we try to put in the back of our subconscious mind. And now it's all there and it's hard to contain. It's like if there was a flood, and then we, you know, like what they used to do in the sea when they just put a barrier to stop the water from going over, you know, the bridge. And now it's like if we open the gate and the water is free to go. So there are big waves coming at us that we have tried to contain those waves for a long time. And now it's time to release it all. So will we keep repressing and distorting the facts that keep us in a toxic and controlled way of life? Or will we face our fears and transform our lives to their highest potential? Because this is the gift of Scorpio, like the snake becoming an eagle, is that once, that's why Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, because once we face our deepest fears, then we have transformed ourselves to a higher potential, to a higher version of ourselves that we were before, because we have shed our old skin, and that's painful. But then it's for our own good. So that's why it's difficult if we have to face a difficult truth, if we have to accept that maybe someone betrayed us or someone was lying, or we have to realize that a situation we are now finding ourselves into is shady, isn't it? And now we just can clear this. You know, it's hard once you accept this is what it is, and then we can at least clear the wound and move on. So at the end of the day, that's the positive of this, because we can't spend keep living, isn't it? And carrying some toxicity or carrying some lies or keep being betrayed, and we just close our eyes onto it. You know, it's better to face the hard truth. That's what I prefer to do. So this is a call to use power ethically and purposely, rather than sink into further bitterness and powerlessness. So, yeah. So at this time, any suppressed and distorted emotions are coming up to our awareness. For example, self-destructive feelings of jealousy, possessiveness, and even of self-hatred are now internally being seen and acknowledged. We are now uncovering secrets, some about our soul and some secrets about others that we were not supposed to know. Because Scorpio wants to see it to believe it. Scorpio wants proof. And now we are searching and we are finding a dark proof, something we didn't want to look into, or something that was hidden from us is now exposed and revealed. A truth is now being seen and acknowledged. We are seeing the proof of what we suspected to be true for a long time. And this is a taboo or an uncomfortable truth which repulses us or attracts us. Because with Scorpio, there is no in between. So now we know that thing. It's in or it's out, it's good or it's bad. We are attracted to it or we are repulsed to it. Isn't it? We're going to cut it or we're going to invest more into it. This is the time we are in now. From today, over the next 2 weeks, over the next 4 weeks. So especially over the next 2 weeks, this is when this is most potent, this energy. So it doesn't mean that everything is going to unfold right now. It's already started a few days ago, and now it's going to increase in intensity. So over the next week, we can say a lot of this, what I just spoke about, is going to be playing out. So yeah, we are now going all in with a person, with a situation, or with an aspect of ourselves. Or we will end it. Because this doesn't have to be someone else. It could just be something internal within yourself that you are not being honest with yourself, about an aspect of your character, for example. But I think that, for example, for me, I see this energy is playing on in multiple ways. Some of it is to do with, is happening internally within myself. Some of it is happening into relationships with others. And then some of it is also happening for me in some other situation, which has nothing to do with my internal world, or it's nothing to do with my intimate relationships. It's to do with the world out there, with situations I'm entangled in that are shady. So it doesn't have to be just one thing. You have to look in what house of your chart is Scorpio, and this is where this is playing out. So for me, I'm a Gemini, so it's in my sixth house, and all this is linked to my sixth house, and also the opposite house is Taurus. So most of it is to do with my sixth house and my 12th house. So same for you, see where you are Scorpio, and then you know how to pinpoint it. Because there is now an information uncovered about how we have unconsciously self-sabotaged ourselves. And if we dig deeper into what is being revealed, a lot of resources to achieve our goal can be uncovered. So that can benefit us, because we can also, on the bright side, it's not just about finding out negative information. Any negative information, because Scorpio is about transmutation, transformation, we can use it for our own benefit, and that can become a resource to better help us move forward. And we can also just simply discover some new information that we didn't see was there before, and this is something useful for us. Okay, so if you were stuck onto a problem, now you might actually also find a remedy. Scorpio is about inner resources. It's the wealth that you don't see, like inner strength, for example. So that's why this is a polarity, because Taurus is more to do with the external wealth, to have things love, money, love, expensive things, your body as well, things that you can touch. But Scorpio is inner wealth. That's why it's a polarity, because ideally you want to be wealthy on the inside out, isn't it? Because if you're wealthy and you only have things, what would you do if one day you lose your things? You'll become weak. And also, when you have inner wealth, somehow you have external wealth, because from your inside, you create your outside. So yeah, Scorpio is much more powerful in a way, because Scorpio has inner strength, which is more powerful. If I would have to choose, would I rather have inner wealth or external wealth? I would rather have inner wealth, because your inner world create your outside world, isn't it? So yeah, before we empower ourselves with this piece of truth that is going to empower us, we are asked to painfully look at how we have communicated our ideas and what our mindset was fixed on, to our own detriment. This energy applies to deep topics of our lives. This is about the 8th house energy. This is about sexual union and the karma exchanged between people, about marriage, when you get married, or the choice we made to spend most of our time with someone and not with someone else. So this is about, if this is about relationship, this is about deep relationship, your partner, your best friend, you know, someone you entangle with in business, that you have contract with, finance or sexual exchanges with, right? If it's your sibling, then you know your sibling, you can be entangled with inheritances, you know, people that you have some deep contract with, contract that it's not easy to exit. That's what Scorpio, the energy we are dealing with now. Because surely if someone or something can betray you, then it's because in the first place you trusted it, and you trusted it because you were invested, and you were invested because you were into a deep contract. So this full moon intensifies any existing tensions about commitments and the fear of entanglement. The question is, are you being limited by a commitment and the choices you have to make to maintain that commitment? Because remember, the law of karma also comes under Scorpio, because Scorpio represents making a choice and the consequences of choices, because it's the 8th house. In the 7th house, you made a choice to enter this partnership. In the 8th house, there will be consequences now, because now you are entangled deeper. And that has consequences. So Scorpio is also about our motivations. It shows our compulsions and our obsessions. Obsession, it's a well-known keyword for Pluto, isn't it? Pluto is the 8th house, Pluto is Scorpio. And it's the deeper unconscious sense of security that exists in all of us. Scorpio is about our soul, and the soul cannot be destroyed. It can only evolve. So this is a full moon that is calling for us to evolve. This is a good time to analyze ourselves, as to penetrate our own psychology, our own motive, agenda, and intentions. Because Scorpio asks why. Where am I coming from? And where are you coming from? Scorpio wants to see proof, believing it's proof for Scorpio when it's in black and white paper or in front of their face. You know, that Scorpio will look for the proof, you know, until they find it. And with the square to Pluto, there at this full moon. So yeah, now we are seeing clearly, and also this is why Taurus is also like that. Taurus likes to see tangible proof. You know, when you say something to Taurus, you see that they will get excited. They will be more trust. They will trust you more. You know, they will believe you more if you show them. You know, if you say to Taurus, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go on this holiday in this house in Switzerland," they'll be like, "Oh, that's good," but with Taurus, if you show them the picture, you show them that you book the hotel, you show them images, you know what I mean? You have then you see how they will be different. They'll be more excited about it. They will believe you more, you know? So Taurus also, they want physical proof. It's not a mental energy like with Gemini, you know, they will just trust you because you just give them some fact and information, you know. With Taurus and Scorpio, yeah, and Scorpio, they want emotional proof that you are invested in them before they trust you. So now Pluto is bringing some truth, but because it's Pluto, it's not some comfortable truth. It might not be the truth you would have want to see, but it's the truth that we need to see. So, because Pluto is squaring this full moon. And Pluto is ruling this full moon. So needless to say that Scorpionic energy are extremely high. Plus, this is a square aspect both to the moon and to the sun from Pluto. And the square aspect itself, this is a Mars energy as well on top of it. And like I said, Mars is also is also strong now. The Mars energy is also strong because Mars is in its own sign, in domicile in Aries. So Mars also is on fire himself right now. So what does it mean that Pluto squared this moon and sun? That talks to us about a potential theme of death and ending, death of an aspect of our life. This can be a psychological dynamic that is ending. So I'm not talking of a physical death. I'm talking, some death of a situation, of a relationship, of you being like, I cannot do this like I've been doing before. This has to end. I have to change this pattern in my life. I have to change this behavior. I have to stop this addiction to this person, to this substance. Right? So this kind of ending. Because anything that blocks our growth, if we hang on to it for security, Pluto is now showing us where this has been happening, where something has been blocking your growth, where there has been some corruption, and where we ourselves too have been out of integrity in some area of our life. So this can be a metamorphosis of your self-image, like recreating a family, or with Pluto square the moon, can be even transforming. It can be transforming your family, or losing a home to create a new one. And it can also manifest as Pluto square the moon, moon square Pluto, can also be power struggle into our home. So all these themes now are brought up to the surface. Intense feelings, emotional control, emotional manipulation, matters to do with the home, matters to do with motherhood, with families. And Pluto operates in an insidious and underhanded way. So all these things that are going on now, they are not necessarily being spoken about, face to face directly, but we are feeling the waters, isn't it? Because that's why we say Scorpio is described as the still water of the lake. It seems calm, but a lot is going on underneath this water. So because Pluto rules over the 8th house of deep transformation, of circumstances and events that are out of our control. And Pluto, she removes everything that doesn't support our evolution. It's because it is our soul's desire for this incarnation and evolution. Pluto shows us where some past traumatic events have created our actual fears. Also, if this is not about your emotional life, Pluto and Scorpio have a lot to do with finances. So this full moon is also bringing a financial aspect to it. This is why most of the time, anyway, in life, deep emotion and finances are intertwined together. It's linked, isn't it? So yeah, so Pluto is also to do with taxes, tax rate, wealth. Pluto is when we say someone went from rags to riches, or someone went from being rich to bankrupt. Yeah, Pluto shows bankruptcy, high swings of, can have a lot of money and then none, and then, So Pluto is also the money you have borrowed and that now you need to repay, like debt. Yeah, so drastic transformation, metamorphosis. This is all Pluto. Like the caterpillar becoming a butterfly, like the snake becoming an eagle. This is about transforming old, outgrown structures in our life and evolving them. So there is something, someone, whatever it is, that all of us, something that we are holding on to because it makes us feel safe or because we are used to it. And now we are at this crossroad because it feels like this can't carry on anymore because there's that new thing, that Pluto is like, oh, it's time to evolve, it's time to transform this and to go on to the next level. That old thing has to be cut off, isn't it? Because it used to be good before, but there is no ideal in life. What was ideal 10 years ago, it was good at the time, but now we have changed, circumstances change, the world change, people change, everything changes. So we can't expect our contract, our agreement, our relationships, to stay the same. And the thing is that for fixed signs, especially, Taurus and Scorpio, especially those two signs, these are the most likely signs, the signs that are the most likely to just hang on for dear life. They won't let it go. So, yeah. But now Pluto brings us new realizations into our financial management and what needs to be shifted and changed. So this is why this full moon is showing us what we have been stuck on and what has been limiting us. So we are encouraged and asked to see in a new way, to approach our future and our potential from a higher consciousness. The question is, are you willing to be an active participant in your own evolution? Because if there is resistance to elimination or transformation because of what we already invested into a person or a situation, then Pluto can viciously tear away what makes us feel safe. So I just like this. So yeah, this is why Pluto is Pluto, isn't it? And there's no resisting change with Pluto because, like I just said, it is what it is. If we don't do the change willingly in our own way, then it will be done for us by life, by Pluto, and then it's going to be more painful. Because Pluto wants to purge toxicity. Often we don't understand why things happen immediately. Only after the end of a Pluto transit, we understand. A Pluto transit is a wild house cleaning. It's a deep cleansing in the house of your chart where you have Pluto transiting. And this applies to this full moon right now. Because a Pluto aspect to a planet, and in this case, the Pluto aspecting this full moon, it can be for some of us, depending on your birth chart, depending of how long you've been hanging on to this thing and, how much change you've made or not, how much it's been holding you back or not. In worst case scenario, with Pluto, it can feel like it can be cataclysmic. If it's necessary, karmically, or if it's fated for you to evolve. So the best thing to do is to just let go and let God, just go with the flow, just use like what is it, like the with the Tao kind of philosophy. When, you know, they say just be like a rock, whatever comes to you, comes to you. Whatever lives your life, lives your life. You know, it's just the law of nature that everything comes and go, and whatever go will be replaced. So there is nothing to fear. Do you know what I mean? Uh, yeah, so what at this full moon, what can happen now is that someone can play Pluto for you. Someone is gonna play Pluto, or a situation will play Pluto, or you gonna embody the Pluto energy, or like I said, for me, for example, for us, some of us, it's just a mix of everything. That someone can come back into your life for you to pick up where you left it off with this person, or a past power struggle can re-emerge because now it needs to be cleared. So, like I said, know that what is no longer workable over the long term will be removed, because with the fixed sign, we are thinking, we better think of the long term, because this is the trap to not fall into at this full moon, because as you see, there is this, like I said before, this Aries stellium that is still here, isn't it? See all these planets in Aries, where Mars, the ancient ruler of Scorpio, is. So what does that mean? It means that still we could be tempted, you know, to take the shortcut, to do the mercenaries, you know, to take the quick win and not think about the future. You know, but this is not the solution now, because, you know, this will be the equivalent of let's say you've got an infection in your arm, and then what you're going to do, you're just going to put some bandage around it. Well, no, because the infection, you just hide the infection. So no one sees it, but you didn't treat it, isn't it? You have to go deep inside it and clear the infection properly at the root. And this is why we have to do the deep cleansing by thinking of the long-term strategy. You know, not to do a quick mercenaries tactic and fix the problem today for a few days or delay it, you know, but then because then it will come back again. And when Pluto is involved, if we didn't do the work that we were supposed to do, you know, the problem is going to come back tenfold, for example, you know. So the thing is not going to go away by itself, basically. Because because Aries, let's not forget, is you know, it's a childish energy, isn't it? It's just think about about now. It doesn't think much about the consequences. The Scorpio and Taurus, they want to think about the long term. That's what we are advised to do now. So know that if you feel overpowered by some people and you don't see the future clearly right now, know that Pluto is creating developments for the new opportunities that will come after the old, after the dead, and after the rotten has been cleared away. Because like I said, once we clear something, something better always comes. Something else always comes, isn't it? We're not going to live life alone forever. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, do you know what I mean? Like the season, like the planets, everything goes around and around and around. So even if you're like, oh, I have to get rid of this, but I don't know what I'm gonna do now without this person or this situation, know that Pluto is going to transform it into something better. And if something, that's the thing with Pluto, you know, is that if something leaves your life, is because it was toxic, isn't it? Because it was done, isn't it? It just needs to go. So there's something better out there for you. Yeah, and this full moon is about an infection that we see spreading to the maximum. Now it's become too visible and too deadly to ignore it for much longer. Whenever this is if it's a person you were tolerating, if it's a situation that's toxic that you were tolerating, you know, now whatever this is, you're like, this is too much now. This can't keep going anymore. It's causing too much chaos in my life. You know what I mean? It's just, I have to deal with it now. That's the feeling of this full moon. As if all the calm, quiet water of Scorpio are now all coming up, you know, to the surface. As if imagine in your head, if you see an iceberg and you just see the tip of the iceberg, and imagine what it would be like if this huge iceberg that goes to the deep ocean, under the deep ocean, and now it's all coming up, the iceberg is mounting, you know, it would be a huge, now what was the tip of the iceberg, you would look at it as if it was a big mountain in the Alps, for example, you know, when you go skiing and stuff. So now this was like we were looking at it down and it was like, oh, you know, I just see the tip, but now it's all blowing up out of proportion and we have to clear it. But yeah, so once the trial and error is over, you will know what to do. So now we have to go through this phase of turmoil. Maybe we are thinking differently, we are trying different strategies, you know, and we don't know maybe how to go about this change because we have to go through this phase of feeling this feeling, seeing this new truths, you know, and when the time comes, we will know, you know, when then there will be a new moon in Taurus. With Taurus, that's about practical plan in reality, you know. So there are time will come and we'll be able to start planning. Now we are focused on, first of all, you know, acknowledging it and clearing it, you know, before we can build on safer ground. And this full moon is a call to relax. And yeah, it's asked us to relax our control of the inevitable changes of life. You know, because we can't always be in control of everything. Because Scorpios can be a control freak as well. Yeah, so we are controlled out of fear, and we have to evolve and to become more authentic version of ourselves. We need to let go of something or someone that we hang on to for dear life, because this is controlling us, and this is just because we fear what we're gonna do if that person or that thing is not there anymore. I mean, we can't live like that, isn't it? Be staying attached to something because we have fear to let it go, and that because it's controlling us, and that's not healthy. To stay into a situation that you feel controlled by, limited by, just because you fear what you would do, what else would you do? So if you think in your life, everything that you went through, you are still here today and you're still surviving. So this is not any different. Because sometimes to stay stuck in stagnation, you know, this is actually more deadly than than moving forward into the unknown and transform ourselves. So let's not hang on to things for dear life right now, just because it makes us feel secure out of habit, or because because we financially or emotionally invested our time and resources into something. This has to be let go of willingly for our own good. Because with Pluto, resistance is futile. Pluto will win every time. There's no need to try to hang on to resist change with Pluto, isn't it? It's just gonna make things more difficult for you. But you benefit from making the change. You benefit. You empower yourself. You renew your life. You get wisdom, freedom. Because hanging on will only make things worse if we don't do it ourselves. Pluto will pull the rug from under our feet in order to force change and evolution of our soul. So this is our soul. If there is a change that we need to make now, if something needs to go, it's because our soul, has a plan, and it's like now we have to move on to the next level. We have to evolve, and while this thing is in your life, you cannot change. It's like when we change, for example, when we change, as we all change, so often people around us don't change, or they treat us like we were 10 years ago. We're not that person anymore. So how can you move forward and be your new self? If someone doesn't accept that you have bettered yourself, that you have transformed yourself, because maybe they didn't do it. And every time they look at you, they are reminded of how they are stagnating in their own life. So they want to bring you down back to how you used to be. Things like that. This is not healthy, because you just hold you back, because energetically you go and do things on your own and you'll just be this new person. Now you go back to that situation that holds you back. Then your vibration suddenly is dropping to the past again. So you are being delayed, you are being held back. That's why also, even in your house, if you're one of these people who lived for years in the same house, 10 years or more in the same house, 5 years or more in the same house, even it doesn't matter after a month or something, after a year or something, you should always do some, what's it called, feng shui, or you should always move your furniture, move your stuff, go in corners of your house, move the energy around, because this keeps you stuck from moving forward to new things, so yeah. So something else that I have noted about this full moon. So yeah, I have said it here that Juno is conjuncting with Pluto. Okay, so let me just clear everything and now start again, because there's too much. And right, so for example, I'm gonna clear this other thing in the middle. So 1 second, go here, chi, chi. Right, so right, sorry about this. So you can see Pluto is here at 5 and Juno is here at 7. So there is a conjunction with Pluto and Juno at this full moon. Yeah, so this is what I want to talk about, because it's relevant. First of all, for those of you who are not aware, that Juno is the goddess asteroid of all kinds of contract and commitment that we make with another person. Juno is about partnerships. Partnerships like marriage, like when you get married, or it can be a partnership, a business partnership, like a business arrangement. Pluto is about psychology, the psyche, and transmutation. And they are both in Aquarius, the sign of joining together for the future of humanity. So this Pluto and Juno conjunction at this full moon is talking to us about the fact that some people will now come together for mutual deep healing. A partnership needs to be released, transformed, or invested to. Okay, so like I just said since the beginning, with Scorpio, is you're in or you're out, you're all or nothing. Like in the poker, when you're like, put your card, you say all in. This kind of energy. So now there is a relationship, there is something, whatever is private, whatever is business. that, you know, we all have to make a decision now. It's like, I'm going to commit more, you know, or let it go, or this needs transforming because this dynamic is not working anymore. Like I just said many times, maybe it's toxic, maybe it's holding you back. Because Juno corresponds to union with something or someone outside yourself. And with Pluto, this union is going under a transformation. And an intimate commitment or financial exchange or arrangement is now done in a new way. But in this agreement and relationship, someone could have more power and freedom than the other. However, nonetheless, this union will lead to a deep transformation for both parties involved. So yeah, so again, you know, whatever relationship or agreement or business intimate deal you're going to make with someone is highly likely, because when Pluto is involved, that, you know, somehow one of you is going to have more freedom, more, you know, more control over this deal, over this agreement. Nonetheless, yeah, both people will be transformed, you know, to a higher version of themselves by this union. This union is going to transform both people. Okay, so this is what I had to say about Pluto and Juno conjunction. And yeah, finally, there is something else that's worth talking about, is that this full moon is conjuncting a fixed star called Mimosa. So let me show you. Hopefully, I'm just going to second. So I need to take right chart. Right. Yeah. So you see it. Let me remove this coloring. Right. So this needs to. Right. So you see it. This woman is here at 11:21 of Scorpio. Okay. So there are two fixed stars here at 12, about 15. This is still not very. So let me just surround it. Anyhow, so you can see it, one is visible and it's called Acrux here, Acrux. Right, if you want to see for yourself. And the other one is not visible, but it's just next to it. They are both about 11, 12 degrees of Scorpio. So it's called Acrux, and the other one is called Mimosa, Mimosi. So, and they are into a constellation called Crux, Crux. So, and these are closely conjunct this full moon. So that's why it's important. So you can see this is the name of the constellation Crux. And I'm talking about this fixed star called Mimosa and this one called Acrux. And it does look like a cross. You see, well, it looks like this in the sky. And the cross is an occultic symbol, isn't it? Obviously, it's the symbol of Christianity. You know, so it does link well with Scorpio. No surprises, you know, no coincidences that this is in the Scorpio side, those fixed stars, because Scorpio has to do with the occult, the study of the occult knowledge. And yeah, so this can give you more hints as to how this full moon is going to manifest for you. The fixed star Mimosa, which is next to this moon, in Latin, the word mimosa means like an actor, to mimic, you know, when you copy someone else, mimicking. And this information, I got it from a book called Fixed Stars and Their Interpretation by Elsbeth Ebertin. Yeah, and so in this book, it's explained the characteristic of these fixed stars that are highlighted now at this full moon in Scorpio. And these fixed stars give inventive mind, intuition, and wisdom. It gives a grasp for the inner nature of one's fellow man. It gives the gift of successful investigation of the hidden side of things. A deep religious nature connected with mystical and theosophical interest. It also, this constellation Crux, gives perseverance, but many burdens, trials, and responsibilities, together with much suffering and many hardships. So these crucifix stars here fit well with Scorpio and their love of the occult, because at the highest vibration of Scorpio, you know, they can be very knowledgeable, you know, and very talented and skilled at the occult, to practice, you know, the occult and metaphysical knowledge. All this, they know how to deep dig, and they can also be very good psychic, because they can see and feel what is not seen with the eyes. So why I'm saying that, because you can see how these fixed stars add an extra layer that is confirming to us, isn't it? That yeah, now it's a time to investigate into the hidden side of things and to trust your gut feeling about whatever truth you are uncovering now. Something that is not matching your new frequency anymore has to be let go of or eliminated. This full moon is lightening the load for you to keep evolving. This can be about having to make some difficult financial decisions because of the state of the world. Myself, I hear a lot of people from all walks of life complain, you know, about rising costs and unexpected spendings. Because even if we don't let ourselves be absorbed by the negativity, you know, of all this news and the state of the world, isn't it? You know, we still, everyone we talk to on a daily basis, we still know what's going on because everyone talks about it. So we can't deny that a lot of people are saying the same thing, and that it seems that everyone is being economically impacted in some way. I hear it from people that are rich or not rich. It doesn't matter. Everyone is having, you know, more burden economically now in their life. And this now with Scorpio theme of finances is also highlighted. So the decision we have to make could also be a financial one, on top of being something to do with our intimate life. Because many of us are feeling a pressure to change things, especially since Uranus entered Gemini. You know, so this full moon is the climax to this flood of emotions about what we need to purge and release. Finally, we can trust our gut. We have proof and confirmation of what we suspected, but we were not sure. Now this ugly truth this ugly truth now it's staring at us. And there is no more denying it any longer. So finally, what is the advice? You know, how can we best use this energy? So first of all, know that when there is a T-square, we must do the opposite of the T-square. So let me change chart. So you don't get confused. Right. So yeah, so we must do that's how you can deal with a T-square. So again, the full moon is here, opposite the sun. And then we said that there was a square to Pluto and Juno, and that's why, isn't it? There's a square on both sides. That's why this is called a T-square. It looks like a T, doesn't it? One bar here, one bar here. So what we can do is the opposite side of this T-square, the missing leg of the chair, which is Leo. Okay, so some people they would say, well, do more of this apex planet, of this focal point. But yeah, so what you have to do now is the opposite of the apex planet, which is Pluto. We have to do Leo now, which is the polarity point of Pluto, to find some relief. So what does it mean? So you look in your chart what house Leo falls into. If you don't know, you can go on my website and get a free birth chart report, and they will tell you in which house you have each sign and all these kind of details. So you can put the pieces together, or you can email me and then I'll do it for you. I can do you a birth chart reading, or if you have any question, again, you can email me. But for now, overall, for all of us in general, this means that we have to take leadership to organize our life, as to exceed some of the power struggles that we might have now with institutions, or with certain individuals, or with our friends. We have to do some Leo activities to ease the pressure. And that will help you out without being egoistical. Follow your heart, and what you love to do. Tune into creative project and play. Treat yourself like a queen or king, as to not dwell too much on security worries and possible inequalities now being exposed in groups. Because that's what Pluto in Aquarius is doing, isn't it? It's showing us all the shady stuff that's going on in groups, any free group of people or more. So rather than just being at this time, isn't it? If you want to ease the pressure over this full moon, you know, someone is playing power game with you and you wait for them because they have an information, they have something that you need, isn't it? Well, you can also try to go on your own and be like, how can I deal with it myself? Isn't it? What creative solution can I find to this problem? Okay, so also with the sun in Taurus, don't get too absorbed by the intensity. Don't dwell on fear. And the advice is, with Taurus sun, you know, put yourself in nature, go and walk, you know, barefoot with your feet on the grass, isn't it? And know that change starts from within. We can't control others or manipulate them to change. Because if you try to manipulate someone else without their authorization, if you try to manipulate their will, or make them do anything that you think you want them to do, this is, if you try to influence them, this is black magic, and sooner or later, you know, such use of influence will backfire. Like I said before, you know, there's no exception. It will backfire. So Scorpio energy, like this full moon, is powerful. You know, so Scorpio, remember, rises from the ashes, out of the darkness and into the light after seeing the truth. You know, so that's why this is the advice of this full moon, is that at the end of the day, remember that this is going to get you to a better place. Know that soon after the release of an outdated attachment that holds you back, a new beginning will come. These emotional and financial reversals are part of a reset to help us rethink what really has value and how to make use of our resources on a higher frequency because the earth has enough wealth for everyone. And like everything we observe it in nature, the old always perishes before a rebirth and renewal happens. Now, we are seeing the old patriarchal systems collapse before the new can be born on a higher vibration, as we are now moving away from the age of the Kali Yuga. So this is my perspective on this full moon. So thank you for watching. Remember that you can ask me a question or you can get your birth chart reading from me on my website. Check out via the links below this video. There is a description and you can find me there, on my website. And yeah, again, I'm very grateful for your time. And I hope that you got something useful out of that video. And then until next time, I will see you next time. And thanks for watching. And all the best to you. Bye for now.